Well, Lee, I'm wearing the poorly sized white shirt in tribute to Mike Ashley, who's of course in the director's box on Saturday. We thought all the attention might be on him, but luckily the game itself, proved to be a good news story for once.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, the whole day was always going to be difficult, wasn't it? With Mike Ashley coming back, fall into the second tier of English football was always going to be a very sobering sort of feeling. But I think the lads went out there, and especially Shola Ameobi went out and illuminated what could have been a very dark day.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair to say a lot of us haven't expected much from Shola for a while now.
Shirt, like.
No, nor can I. But as you say, he came good Saturday.
Yeah.
But a week earlier, there was probably the vast majority of Newcastle fans would have happily seen him dropped. He's just such an enigma.
Yeah, I mean, I've been one of his fiercest critics down the years. I mean, so frustrating to watch at all levels, watching him come through the reserves and all that kind of thing. 1 minute he'll take on 3 players, and then he'll fire in a sort of very weak shot, and we've all seen it. Or he'll head over from 6-7 yards, but top marks for Saturday. I think I've heard people say, "Oh, but he's found his level now." I think that's maybe a little bit harsh. I think probably the threat of other players around him. And if you think about some of the players he's had to play in their shadow, like Shearer, Viduka, Owen. It must be difficult when you're up against, you've got such fierce competition. But maybe he's thinking, well, he's the elder statesman now, and this is a real opportunity for him to make a name for himself, And I think most Newcastle fans wouldn't begrudge him that, as long as he's banging the goals in. Yeah, I mean, they've criticised him, but equally at the same time he's a bit of a cult figure. He is.
With his special chants, on the pitch, he shouted scores, etc. So I think everyone does want him to come good. I mean, the fact that he's a Geordie as well obviously helps. Geordie, Geordie bred, brought up in Walker or whatever. The thing I'd say is that it just proves, how easy decent strikers can make it look when they get decent service, which is what every Newcastle striker has been absolutely crying out for the bulk of last season. 2 fantastic balls into the box from wide areas, and that is just, the impact of that is massive as well, isn't it?
Oh, totally. I mean, Enrique, fantastic cross for the first. Ryan Taylor, but you give a lot of credit to Kevin Nolan, who kept the ball in, and I mean, obviously he was off the ball, he was delighted, he was punching the air and all that kind of thing. Nolan's had his critics as well, but I think he kind of made a bit of a statement with that performance. That's something for him to build on. And obviously the penalty was definite penalty, and a very cool finish for him to get his hat-trick. Hence he's got front and back page news today here. So I think it's always good for
a red letter
confidence.
Day. Yeah, red letter day for Shola. One person watching, apart from Mike Ashley, who attracted a little bit of attention was Sol Campbell.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's a free agent. Everyone knows his pedigree. Everyone knows what he can do. People say, he's getting on a bit, but I think for Newcastle in the current situation, to land him would be a major coup.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if the rumours are right and Stephen Taylor is on his way to Everton, then that would leave a very big void at the back, and I wouldn't say Colaccini's going to be hanging around too much longer either.
Can't see that.
So they do need a centre half. They do need experience, and the great thing about Sol Campbell, if they can pull it off, and I think it would be a very big sign if he did. But everywhere he's been, he's lifted silverware, hasn't he? He's played in World Cups. He's scored in World Cups, as we remember. Probably scored a couple that got disallowed as well, didn't he? Argentina and Portugal spring to mind. So he's got such a pedigree on a global scale, and Newcastle can only benefit from that experience, and I think it'd just be a great signing. It would give everybody a lift. He's probably the sort of player that you sign him and then you go, well, there's the captain's armband.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're looking for that type of figure, aren't they? I mean, I'd love to think that they could hang on to Stephen Taylor if they are looking to get Colaccini out the door, which they are. If they can get him out the door, and maybe if they're still looking to save money on the wage bill because the turnover and wage ratio isn't right, get someone else out ahead of Taylor. You'd think Stephen Taylor next to a player, calming presence like Campbell, could only benefit, in the long run. And I know, obviously, it must be tempting for him with all that's happened and the shambolic, stuff that's gone on behind the scenes in Newcastle over the last few months or even a year. It's tempting for him, I'm sure, when a top Premier League club comes in for him to say, well, I'm going to have to cut my losses here. But maybe, just maybe, if he can get Campbell through the door in the next 24, 48 hours, you know, and then there's still all this this hoped for prospect of Shearer coming back as manager. Taylor can be persuaded to stay on because you can see Taylor and Campbell being a top class, you know, defensive duo in this division.
Well, it'll be that maybe Stephen Taylor hasn't had, you know, this sort of mentor figure.
Exactly.
You know, he's never had a manager that he can, a settled manager all the way through his career. How many managers he had? About 6 or something, hasn't he? He's never had a settled partner, and he's never had a partner of real class. And I think Sol Campbell would certainly give him that.
Absolutely.